everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we are so excited today because we have another four-timer guest that has been on our show 4 times. There's only one other person who has that honor. And this is Catherine Disher is here on the podcast.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I was a 4-timer. How exciting.
I know. Yeah. We are.
Who's the other
thrilled.
one?
It's a writer named Nina Wyman. She's also been on our show 4 times. So it's
well, at least you're not calling me an old timer. That's
No.
good. 4-timer is better than old timer.
Yeah. So we love talking with you, Catherine. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Yeah. So yeah, we haven't talked to you for a year basically since before last holiday special, and I mean Halloween special. So yeah, it's been an eventful year for you.
Well, let's see. A year ago, my beloved Aussie Doodle dog died of leukemia. And then we got a puppy in February. So I have this huge, giant galumpus of a puppy who's 9 months old. So other than that, I don't know. Life seems sort of vaguely repetitive. But yeah, everything's good. Everything's fine. We're working. The Good Witch is chugging along again, and it's all exciting.
That's really great. Well, sorry to hear about your dog, but what kind of puppy did you get?
Well, our last dog was an Australian Shepherd Poodle cross, a doodle, an Aussie Doodle, and this one, and I sort of got him by accident. I didn't intend to, but his mother was so fascinating and intense that I ended up getting one of her puppies. He's 3/4 poodle and 1/4 Irish wolfhound.
Oh, whoa.
So he's a big boy. He's
a
big, sweet, curly boy.
Oh, well, that's exciting. What did you name him?
His name is Finn.
Oh, that's cute.
Finn, short for Finnegan. His mother was Canigan, half poodle and half Irish wolfhound. So he's Finn.
Cool. Yeah. Well, that's fun.
And he's whining outside my door right now. I'm not letting him in. So if you hear anything in the background, that's the puppy.
Yeah. Cute. Well, that's great. So I had to ask, did you watch the Dark Phoenix movie? The latest?
You know, I didn't. In fact, I wasn't even aware of it until I was my son was telling me that I should buy Disney stock because their streaming services going online. He's pretty good at this. I should have taken his advice years ago on many other things. So I looked into it and I was like, well, the stock's going down a bit. Why is that? And then I realized it's because I sort of saw an analysis of it and how Dark Phoenix hadn't actually done that well.
No.
I mean, because Disney owns Marvel now, so it was like a Disney, related movie. And so, no, I didn't. And did you see it?
I did. Yeah, I didn't care for it. I didn't really like it.
It sounds like you're not the only one. Yeah.
Yeah, I just felt the whole thing felt hopeless and drab, and there was no. I didn't like what they did with the characters, particularly Charles Xavier's character. All of a sudden was kind of manipulative and kind of cold, and it was just, I don't know. It had a fun.
Who played Professor X?
That was James McAvoy, and he can be quite good in the role in other versions. And it had a fun train sequence that was a cool special effect and pretty good action, but. The Jean Grey was played by Sophie Turner, who's a good actress, but I just felt no connection with her, and the way that she's kind of manipulated by Charles was just weird, and how they ended up doing the story with Magneto being involved was weird, and the whole thing just wasn't great. I didn't like it, and the more I thought about it, the less I liked it, I think. But I was just curious.
Did they show the whole transformation of Jean into the Phoenix?
They did, which was weird.
Really? Oh, that's too bad. Because I remember in the cartoon, it was sort of wonderful and amazing, what Jean was going through. I remember sort of narrating it and telling them, Jean was describing to Scott and Professor X what she was seeing and how she was feeling, and it was all quite sort of wonderful and a very spiritual experience.
Well, it was a weird choice that they made, because in the previous film, because the timeline has gotten completely messed up in the Fox X-Men movies, and because it's complicated, but anyway, the last movie, they had her use her powers, and yet they had the origin of those powers in this movie, and so it was kind of what? It was sort of retconning. It was weird. But yeah, they have this whole scene where she's in space and she ends up getting the powers in order to save the people who are under. There's I can't even remember exactly all of it, but she's able to. She is up in space, and that's how she gets the powers. And anyway, the whole thing just felt kind of drab to me, and everybody seemed kind of cynical and tired, and I was just curious why you think they have such a hard time telling the Dark Phoenix story in live action, because this is the second time they messed it up. Because I think,
as I said, I think it's this sort of almost spiritual, visual. It was almost, if you'll excuse the expression, it was almost kind of an orgasmic experience for Jean, and so I think it's easier, in the cartoon world, you can be taken up so easily, and the description, the writing when we did it in the cartoon was really beautiful, and so the narration, how Jean narrated what she was seeing and what she was feeling, gave you, because really it was just her up in space, and you see her traveling, but it was her voice kind of describing what she was seeing and filming that made it also kind of otherworldly and extraordinary and beautiful, and I think that's really hard to do in live action. And also Sophie Turner, I mean, she's okay. She's very young. Like, she sort of grew up during Game of Thrones.
Right.
And she sort of comes from that, not terribly expressive school of acting. So I don't know if she's able at that young an age to project that kind of wonder and, that it requires, I think. I don't know. It's a good question, actually. Why? Animation, and there's a lot of Japanese anime that can go there too, that can be beautiful and otherworldly, and that you just couldn't do in live action.
Yeah, it's funny because people always think the answer is, well, we gotta put in live action. We gotta make it live action, and it's like, sometimes things need to be animated. Animation is good.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, the other question, thing I was curious about is, so Disney is starting their Disney Plus in November 12th. And did you know that X-Men the Anime Series is going to be part of the rollout?
I did not actually know that. But I've been having conversations, because last year the writers of the cartoon, the first X-Men cartoon that I was a part of, it was their 25th anniversary, I believe, last year. And so the writers of the show wrote a book about the making of it, and how it was kind of this, apocryphal show for Fox Kids, and how all the movies kind of were based more on the cartoon than on the comics themselves. And so they were trying to get me to go to Comic-Cons with them, and it never quite worked out. And then I also know that they were thinking, hey, wouldn't this be a great time for a reboot? So are they? Do you think they're going to work their way? Because they must own all of the iterations of the X-Men cartoons. So maybe they're going to start with the oldest one, Us, and then work their way through to the newer ones.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, when Disney purchased Fox last year, or earlier this year, actually, they they got all of the rights for the X-Men, both live action and animated. That they
Right.
didn't have. They own everything from Marvel now except for Spider-Man, which is still owned by Sony. And they have a deal with Sony to work with Spider-Man. They just renewed that deal for 2 more movies. So they technically right now can basically work with any character that they want in their own universe, I guess. But yeah, they I was very excited to see that. So hopefully people will get introduced to it that haven't seen it or heard of it
A whole new
on the Disney
generation, I guess,
Plus.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it was a great cartoon, and it didn't sort of talk down to kids. It
Mm-hmm.
sort of assumed a certain level of understanding, and it had beautiful writing. So
Yeah.
that would be great.
Yeah,
A
I'm really
whole new
excited about it.
generation.
Yeah, and they even are having a Christmas movie on Disney Plus with the rollout called Noel, which I'm real excited about. With it's Anna Kendrick and Bill Hader, and I think she's Santa's daughter, so that's always exciting.
That sounds great.
So yeah. So all
Well,
right.
quick, buy Disney stock.
Yes. Well, that's always probably a good choice to buy
Yeah, I think
stock
so.
if you can. But all right. Well, let's talk about Martha. So this last season was a pretty big year for Martha, and you had Martha 2.0 at the end of the season.
Right.
And and so we loved all these changes to Martha, and that must have been fun to kind of explore her character in a new way.
It was, but I was terrified when I
Yeah.
first saw. I thought they were going to wrap up the, she's not the mayor anymore episode, with another episode and have it all wrapped up and neatly. Oh, look, I'm back
Mm-hmm.
being the mayor again. And when that didn't happen, I was like, but I am going to be the mayor again, right? Like,
Right.
Martha is going to stay as the mayor. And I kept walking around to people going, really, really, I'm going to be the mayor again, right? And so I was a little concerned, and then I got into it and it was actually kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
we almost wished that it had lasted longer, because we really enjoyed seeing her try on these different hats and seeing her kind of grow, and also seeing Abigail also grow as she was trying to learn the how to be mayor. And so we almost wished, we're like, oh, they could have stretched that out a lot longer, I think. But that's
yeah, I
interesting.
know it could have been fun. I think you're right. It was resolved maybe a little too quickly for all of our satisfaction. But I mean, it was funny because I said to Sarah Power, who plays Abigail, I said, this isn't fair. You have your flower shop set, and you have the apartment set now, Sam's old house, and
Mm-hmm.
my office was my set, and now I can't even have that. I felt like I had no home in the studio anymore. I was
Yeah.
just bopping around from other people's set to other people's set. So I actually really love my office set. It's really comfy,
Mhm.
and it's a big room, so it doesn't feel squishy, and it's
Mhm.
a great room to be in.
You're like, how dare you? What did you do?
I know, except Mayor Abigail got rid of my old mayor chair, which I hated. It almost tried to kill me. That thing used to buck me off. And she got a brand new leather, really sleek, really comfy leather chair. And so I said to them, okay, so Abigail's gone, but can I keep the chair? And they're like, yeah. So now I have a comfy chair in my office. So I am grateful to Abigail for that.
Oh, that's good. That is really good. I guess they they give her the nice chair for the newbie. They get the
Yes, the nice sort of modern furniture, and they got rid of that. Oh my God, that old office chair was so uncomfortable, and it
yeah.
would just collapse. Like it was very weird. It was
That's
like it was
funny.
trying to kill me.
So yes, one of our favorite scenes in this season was your audition for the television show. And that's the whole television show we really wished had been longer, because we thought there was so much potential to be hilarious in that whole setting with Martha. But yeah, that when you got stage fright in the audition, that was very funny.
I really loved. I
Yeah.
love the idea of having my own, public access television show.
Uh-huh.
I I did. I remember the second season. They had me do these Martha's Minute on the little webisodes for the
Uh-huh.
website, for the Hallmark site. And so it was me sort of speaking directly to the camera, and it was sort of, little town updates. And I really kind of enjoyed the idea that Martha gets her own TV show. And I based it on a friend of mine in California years ago had his own public access show where he would do things like give everyone a half an hour close-up tour of the inside of his mouth. Like, he did really bizarre things. But this I thought would have been really fun, just Martha kind of,
Yeah.
And today's topic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed it. That was really fun. And you know what? Surprisingly not hard to fake stage fright, I've discovered. It was weird. It was being in that studio they built a studio on set. Actually, we went into another studio in the building to
Uh-huh.
shoot it. And it suddenly kind of gave me a bit of a, we're shooting something here, because it
Yeah.
wasn't anyone's living room. It was a set. So it was really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to ask if you were able to kind of tap into any experiences of your past where you might have been a little bit anxious or nervous before an audition, or anything like
Oh,
that.
yeah. Well, auditions, not so much, but I remember being a guest on a TV show once that was a hospital show, and it had the most expensive sets I've ever seen. And they went on forever. It was like somebody had donated. They'd gotten all this real medical equipment donated, and there were operating rooms and morgues and that. And I walked onto that set, and I just felt like my acting wasn't expensive enough for that set. And
Mm.
I began to just flop sweat. And I think everyone thought I was just having a middle-aged moment. But I had to say, no, it's not menopause. I have a case of stage fright. It was weird. Everyone was
Yeah.
fanning me and trying to sit me near the air conditioning. And I was like, no, you don't understand.
Yeah. Well, and
But that's the only time
it was so funny with Martha because she was so confident right until she got in those lights. She fell
well, isn't
apart.
it just the case when it's always those people who are like, oh, no problem. Oh, this
Yeah.
is a piece of cake. And they're always the ones that collapse under the pressure. And it's always the people who, look like they're just not going to make it, who come through and with flying colors.
Yeah, it's true. It's very, very true. So that was a very, very fun scene. I enjoyed it. And then the whole scene with the interview with the comptroller where you find his recycling, that was hilarious. We're gonna comptroll the comptroller. We loved that. We were
he,
laughing.
he was really good. The guy who played the controller, I forget his name now. I forget everybody's name, but it'll come to me in a while. But he was so funny because he thought he was, he was all excited. He was going to be interviewed on Martha's show. And then within like 10 seconds, he realized that it was a hit piece and he just froze. It was really funny.
Yeah.
It was funny to watch him, the actor, do it. But yeah, that was fun. Doing, my impression of bad morning TV.
Right. You're investigative journalist.
Yeah, when you kind of look at that gotcha moment when you look at the camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that must have been really funny. And, and so what was it like to film the graduation and kind of the end, your sort of end scenes with Bailey? That must have been, brought on a little bit of tears.
Well, at the time, I didn't realize it was going to be the end of Bailey on the show.
Oh, yeah.
That was going to. So we didn't find that out until just before the season aired, this past summer. So that was sort of a shock for me to find out that she wasn't going to come back. And I know there are always good reasons for these things. So it was more that, when we shot those scenes, that Bailey had started the show as a 15-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And here she was kind of 19 and going off to college. And just that passage of time made it quite moving, just because it was Bailey. And it was exactly the time of life where she would be doing that kind of stuff if she were going to go away to school and graduate from high school and stuff. So it was, and she's just a lovely, lovely person. So and she makes it very easy to kind of do those kind of scenes with, because she's right there and she's very sentimental and very emotional about stuff. And when she tears up, you can't help but tear up yourself. And no, she's lovely.
Yeah.
It was like a rite of passage for all of us, you know?
Yeah, that's what I figured is one of those touch points of the show, where in a way, kind of a real graduation, sort of in for that arc, kind of that character.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely, absolutely. And she really did, kind of spend her teenagehood on the show.
Yeah, yeah.
Growing up on camera.
I know we're all gonna miss her, but we understand. She's got a ton of potential to work on films and other things like that. So that's exciting
It's true.
for
I
her.
can't help but hope, though. I can't help but hope that maybe, maybe someday she'd pop back into Middleton
Yeah,
for a little visit. That would be lovely. So
it
I
would.
have no idea if that's even possibly in the cards at all. So I shouldn't really say it, but I just mean from a sentimental point of view, it
Yeah,
would be, lovely to have her back, even for a brief moment.
yeah. Even maybe for a movie or something like that. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like that.
Yeah.
One of the other highlights of this season was Cassie and Sam's wedding, and
Oh,
it was so beautiful, so well done, and so I was curious what that was like to film the wedding.
Well, finally, right? It was like,
Yeah.
finally they're getting married. It wasn't even in the first episode. It was in the second episode of that block. I was like, oh my God, people are going to be so frustrated. But yeah, it was beautiful. It was in the woods, and it was a beautiful day when we shot, and it was, it wasn't too hot, it wasn't too cold, and the sun was shining through the trees, and it was actually just beautiful. And I always love those scenes when we're all together, when sort of the whole group is there. And it was lovely. And it really sort of, I just sat there and kind of thought of over the last 12 years, of Catherine and Cassie and Cassie's journey, and and Jake, and now Sam. And it was actually, it was sort of a sentimental journey for all of us who have been on the show since the movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Catherine looked beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
She was absolutely beautiful. That dress was amazing. I don't know how it looked on camera, but in person it was amazing.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And her and James didn't have such nice chemistry and I just thought the whole set, everything for the wedding looked really pretty, and it just felt like the right wedding, I think, for those two characters.
Yeah, and the outdoor, you can't get better than having a wedding outside. There's something about, nature and the trees and the breeze and the sunshine, and it was just lovely. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Was that kind of surreal to be kind of filming this wedding on going through all the motions of the set and going through just all of that I mean, it probably is more, it's probably a different experience as a fan kind of watching it than sitting in and going through all the takes and everything like that as the actors.
Well, surprisingly it went pretty fast once we were shooting it. So there wasn't, hours and hours of waiting around. So it was kind of like we sort of enjoyed the whole experience. So I felt we were it's weird sometimes, when you don't, if you're just sitting there and you're part of the audience and you're watching this go on, which, most of us were, you kind of forget where you are, and you don't have to be aware of the cameras, because you're not, I don't even know when the camera's on me. I'm just sitting there enjoying the whole thing.
Oh, that's cool.
They did it again and again for us, when they had to turn around. And so it was, I really felt like I was at a real wedding. It was really bizarre.
Oh, that's cool. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, they brought on a bunch of new characters this season, with particularly for working with Stephanie and Abigail, with Sarah and Kylie. And we did have Kylie on the podcast, which is very exciting. We really enjoyed that. And I think we're fine with with all of the new casting, but we particularly as a podcast loved Vincent, and we're so sad that
Oh.
he evidently is
Oh no.
going off to be a boat captain or something. I don't know what's going on, but we're like, nah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know they were all lovely people. All the men, they were all men that they brought on.
Yeah,
Middleton
that's true.
seemed like for a while that we were running out of men. So, and Tom and I were the only sort of happily married couple in Middleton there for a while. So we needed men, and it rained men last season on The Good Witch. It's true. There was Adam, and played by Scott, and there's Donovan, played by Mark Ben David, and then there was Vincent. And no, they're all lovely people. Like everybody, they just fit in perfectly, and they're just lovely, and they're all very funny. And yeah, it's too bad that Vincent is that he's gone.
I know.
But he'll be back. Come on, once you've been in Middleton and you're part of the Middleton family, you can come back anytime. So that's the great part about it. Well, it's a living, breathing. Middleton is a living, breathing being.
Well, and there's never ending of. We're talking about that with the new movie. It seems like there's never ending number of Cassie's friends from college. There's always, and this is one of my best friends from college. Like, how many friends did she have? How many roommates did she have?
I didn't even know she'd gone to college. I didn't know Martha had gone to college until they suddenly came up with a friend of mine from college.
Yeah.
I sort of assumed that maybe she hadn't, but but yeah, no, Cassie, it's true. Cassie and she studied, what did she study? Archaeology, right?
No,
is it archaeology?
Is it anthropology?
Anthropology. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think.
Remember that was that. Remember that sort of what was going to be either Sam or what was his name?
Yeah, that guy.
I can't remember. Yeah, and he kept wanting you to go to the Maldives with him and do a dig. And I kept saying on set, we all realize, right, that the Maldives is the highest point in the Maldives is 9 feet above sea level. So if you dig in the Maldives, all you're going to get is a puddle.
That's funny.
You're going to get water.
Yeah.
But nobody listened to me. But anyway, yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah. We liked most of the. I mean, we liked all of the new cast. We just liked Vincent the best, and so we were all kind of bummed out.
Oh,
but
you'd be thrilled to know that.
Yeah.
Why did you like him? What made you like him the best? I'm curious.
Well, we felt like he was the most sort of authentic, and we thought he had the best chemistry with Stephanie, and I don't know, he was just. We just thought that we liked the actor. We thought he had nice charisma about him, and we were big fans. He was an interesting character. He had an interesting backstory, and so and so Martha is pretty superstitious, I think, in the season. She's full on believing in this curse. She, is telling Abigail to break up with Donovan, that this is a bad idea. Was that interesting for you to were you surprised at all to see her be so sort of superstitious about that?
Oh, I don't think so. I think Martha has, no, not at all. Martha, I mean, she was the one who in the very beginning of the movies was trying to get Cassie, drummed out of town because of black magic. So I think Martha is easily swept up into the emotions of things. So, no, she's just easily caught up in that childlike wonder that she's got.
I was going to say, the other thing that we did dislike about Adam was the fact that in one episode, he basically makes Stephanie cook their date dinner for them. Yes, she had bought a service auction or whatever. Or he had bought her making dinner for two, but then it ends up being for them, and so we're like, wait a minute, she just made her own dinner. What's going on here? That's not
Oh,
romantic.
don't hold him against him. Don't hold it against him. He's a
we
very nice guy.
yeah.
The actor is actually, he's very funny.
Yeah.
He's very funny, and he's kind of, he doesn't play, a chaplain like you think a chaplain would be played. He's got a very sort of fun, kind of weird sense of humor that comes out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. That was probably a bad introduction for him.
We
And
were like, Vincent would never make Stephanie make her own dinner.
Aw.
But yeah,
Poor.
anyway. And we also had a lot of mileage on the podcast kind of joking about the fact that Adam doesn't know how to make a Monte Cristo. We were like, do they know
Oh
what a Monte
God.
Cristo is? Because a Monte Cristo is battered and like fried. Like it's not a grilled cheese. It's more
No,
like
exactly.
and we're like, these people need to go to Disneyland and they need to go and have proper Monte Cristo.
Why, is that where they sell them?
Well,
A
that's
lot of
just
them?
where I've had them. Is
Oh, okay.
is in Disneyland is very famous for their Monte Cristos, and they like have powdered sugar on them. They're like, it's not a
Oh,
grilled
really?
cheese. It's not a grilled cheese sandwich, but it does have
No.
ham. Anyway, we got a lot of laughs about that. We're like, Adam and
Well,
his
we laughed
Adam and his fake Monte Cristos.
Well, we laughed a lot because they must have said the words Monte Cristo about 15 times in that
Yeah.
episode. It was
Yeah.
every other line was something about the Monte Cristo.
Yeah.
I know, it figured
anyway.
prominently. I will never forget the phrase. Well, I won't tell Scott that you guys like Vincent better than Adam.
No, but feel free to tell the showrunners so they can get Vincent back.
Okay.
Very good. All right. Well, yeah. If you want to have a really classic Monte Cristo, go to Disneyland, and particularly at the Blue Bayou and at the in New Orleans Square is where you can get
Okay.
Cafe Orleans. You can get a Monte
So as
Cristo.
an adult, do you go to Disneyland as an adult?
I do. Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Oh, okay.
And I got to go in August for I mean, I don't go that very much just because I can't afford it. But in August I got to go because I went to D23, which is their big Comic-Con that they do every 2 years. And
Oh.
yeah, and so I got to go to Disneyland for one day, and I didn't get to have a Monte Cristo, but I did have some good food, and it's really fun. It's you can go and and not even go on that many rides and just enjoy. The food is so yummy at Disneyland. It's expensive, but it's so good, at least, unlike other parks.
You have to stand in line for everything?
No, not too bad. Not too bad. And they added
Oh.
this whole Star Wars land, this Galaxy's Edge, and it, at least in the summer, I don't know if it's just more space, more stuff for people to do. It made the lines practically evaporate. There was only one, because you have the fast passes also. So between the Max Pass and working with and just having less lines, I didn't wait more than 10 minutes for anything. And what's also really cool is you can mobile order on your phone for any fast food type quick service type thing. And so you can just place your order, and then you just go right to it, you get your food. And if it's a place that requires a reservation like Blue Bayou, you can make your reservation on your phone and then just show up when you're ready, and then you go and you enjoy. So they've really made it a pretty pleasant experience at Disneyland. So
it's Disneyland in California and Disney World in Florida, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've only been to Disney World once when I was 12, but I'd love to go. I'd love to go sometime. But yeah. Anyway, I love Disneyland, and every couple of years I get to go out there, and it's so much fun for me.
Well, I think I'll have to go at some point because my son, who's now 26, has said to me in the past, every once in a while he'll go, we never went to Disneyland. So maybe, I don't know if he'll want to go with me potentially as an adult, but I think maybe Disneyland might be in our future.
Oh, you should definitely go. They make it real fun for all people of all different ages, and like I said, you can just go and it's so clean. They keep it really. The cast members are so friendly. It's just a pleasant place, I think, to be in. But anyway,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
That's good. You're a
yeah.
good advertiser. They should give you a free pass for this.
Oh, please, I would love it. But anyway, yeah. So we have the upcoming movie. So Good Witch, Curse from a Rose. There is a lot
Right.
going on in this movie. Holy cow! The summary. I was like,
I
wow.
know. I said to my producer, I said, I'm going to be doing this podcast and I can't, what should I talk about from the movie? And he said, oh, well, you could talk about, he sent me a text, talk about this and this, this and this. And I was like, I totally forgot that was all in there. That was all those episodes. Oh my God, it happened in the movie. I was like, I forgot there was so much going on.
Yeah, there
But
really
it's
is.
true. And oh my God, it was so hot when we shot it.
Oh,
There were days when it was over 40 degrees. I don't know. You might be able to see it, but I was let's say I was very moist for most of that movie, and I thought it was rolling down my face. So I hope it doesn't show.
Yeah, you're like,
even when the bonfire was on at night, it was really super hot, and the bonfire was super hot. It was all just super hot.
Well, thank you for persisting, because we're very excited about it. And yeah, so Martha, according to the summary, it says Martha plans a bonfire to honor the season and tries to ignore her husband's failure to recognize the anniversary of their engagement on Halloween night.
Yes, apparently they got engaged on Halloween years ago. And so this is an old Merriwick tradition that we found a description of it in a diary, in Elizabeth Merriwick's diary. I think it was Elizabeth. Wait, whose diary was it? Oops. Yeah, I should really not talk about details. Yes, it was a Merriwick. So it was an old Merriwick tradition, and we thought, as a special, we were trying to rack our brains about what to do for this Halloween to make it special, and so we're bringing it back, and we kind of reinvigorated it. And but there's somebody who comes to town. She's played by Lolita Davidovich, and we're not sure what she's up to and why things seem to be going wrong. And of course, we always blame the newcomer when things go wrong. And of course, Halloween is so important to Middleton. It's just it's the event, the holiday, the one day of the year that means so much to Middleton. And it means a lot to Martha and Tom. And of course, Tom is not remembering our anniversary. And honestly, men, really. So, but as you know, Tom is such an upstanding guy. I won't ruin it, but he doesn't, he comes through. Oh, and there's also, because we beat Blairsville so terribly last year in the Harvest Festival, they have challenged us. They have challenged us to a triathlon, and I have to say, it was hysterical to watch. It was hysterical. There's a pumpkin boat race, and they built these two floating giant pumpkins that Jamie Denton and Mark and David have to paddle, and it was really funny. It was one of those hot days, and they were out in this lake, and they were paddling. And at first, they realized when they got in these things that when they paddled them, they just went in a circle because, of course, they're round. Yeah. And so it was very funny. Anyway, it was very funny to watch. And I actually took a great picture of Mark Ben David in his pumpkin boat, and he's on his cell phone. He's being towed around by these two divers, and he's on his cell phone in his pumpkin boat. And I sent a copy of it to him, and in the caption I put, "Just so LA," as he's being towed around checking his email on his phone.
That's funny. That's good. Yeah. Well, and anytime you can get Martha with a grudge, she's upset, that's always gold. So we're excited about that. She's mad at her husband.
Well, absolutely. Poor Tom. Poor Tom. He's so sweet, and he puts up with so much.
Oh, I forgot to ask you about their the staycation in Grey House. We loved that. That was so funny.
I know. It was just Poor Sam. Sam just looked like he wanted us to leave. We couldn't have left fast enough for Sam.
Yeah. Well, and it's just so
Oh, that
perfect
was fun.
for Martha, because of course, if she could pick anywhere to go on vacation, she's gonna want to go to Middleton. That's her favorite place. So
Of course,
she
and
did.
I think Martha thinks she's a Merriwick. I just
Mhm.
think that she just assumes that somewhere back in her history, she's a Merriwick. She's part
Yeah.
of the family.
I wouldn't be surprised if that somehow ends up coming up someday. If the show goes on long enough. Get
I wouldn't either. I keep suggesting it. I think Martha finds out she's a Merriwick.
that
But
would be
yeah,
so
no, it's
funny.
true.
Hmm.
She loves Grey House.
Yeah. And then they play that couples game, which was really
Oh.
cute. That was really, really cute.
I know. You know when people play games and you think you know them, and then they start to play a game, and they're either like ruthlessly competitive
Yeah.
or really bad losers, and you find out dimensions of people that you never knew existed when you play games with them.
That is very true. I was actually just doing a podcast. We were talking about games with Jax from the Bubbly Sesh podcast, because she has a
Oh
game
yeah.
company. We were talking about that, and it is true that uh, there's nothing like, especially during the holidays when everybody's kind of bored and it's cold outside, and so you end up playing. We were talking about. We love playing in my family. We love playing games like something like Pit. Have you ever played Pit?
No,
Oh,
that
it's such a
sounds
fun game,
dangerous.
but you have to have 4 people in order to play Pit. And uh,
Yeah.
and anyway, it's trying to sort of mimic the idea of a stockbroker. And so everybody's down
Oh.
on it's that idea of a stockbroker who's like, holding up the thing and saying two, 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 or whatever when they're
Yeah.
swapping on the store. It's kind of like that. So you're trying to make a match of all of, there's like grain and corn and these different goods. And so if
Really?
you're missing 2, you hold up your hand and you say two, 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 and then everybody's swapping, everybody's yelling, and it's hilarious and so much fun. I highly recommend it. The more people you can get I figure the more people you can get kind of shouting in something that doesn't matter at all, when there's sort of the inevitable tension of family holiday gatherings, you
Oh
can kind of get that
yeah.
out in a constructive way.
Yeah, it dissipates the tension. That's
Yeah.
absolutely true.
Yeah. So anyway, the that was fun, and as uh, we were very curious about the George and Nick search for Middleton's mythical sea monster. That's a new one.
Oh, that's right. That's in the movie too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's its name? Is it Bessie?
They don't say the name in the summary, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because
but
I remember thinking it should have been called Messy for Middleton. Oh, I know.
oh,
Loch Ness has Nessie. That's right.
yeah.
So shouldn't it be Messy for Middleton? But looking for Messy the sea monster I don't think, didn't sit right. But anyway, that was a very hot day. I think I might have been slightly delusional that day because of the heat. But
That is
that's
funny.
true. You know what I love? The truck that George drives, that cherry red old,
Yeah.
period pickup truck, is just the most gorgeous. And I have to say, there was a day when he had driven that up onto set, and they had the pumpkin boats in the water, these incredible orange pumpkin boats, and the sun was shining. It was just beautiful, and all the
Mm-hmm.
pumpkins and the colors. It was just gorgeous. It's such a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful time of year, the light up here.
Yeah, and I like that dynamic between George and Nick. It's cute. They have a nice chemistry
It
together.
is nice, and yeah, Nick is our last child left, so we
Yeah.
have to. It takes a village.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. We had I guess our last appearance from Brandon and Tara and what's her name? Tara in last
We're
season.
at the wedding. Yeah, they
Yeah.
were at the wedding, weren't they?
Yeah. And
Yep.
so, oh, we liked them. We always keep hoping that someday they'll bring back Lori, even just for a couple episodes.
Yes.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, all Chad's children have flown the coop now.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they find a way in the next season to they're sort of a foster kid or some kind of relationship for for Cassie to have some kind of dynamic with a younger person in the next season. It seems like that would be natural, but maybe she'll
I
just
think so.
fill it with
Yeah.
Nick. I don't know.
I know Nick's getting a bit old for that, though. Yes, so I
Yeah.
agree. Cassie needs, because she's very, she's very maternal, and she really is great with kids. So it's
Mhm.
and I think that's part of the whole family dynamic of the show. You want all of the generations represented, and it's really nice to have young people around.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, and it's just I don't know, it kind of gets to that overall feel of it being a mother-daughter show is sort of the core of the show,
Yep.
I think. And
Yeah.
so I think that they'll want to do something to kind of fill that void in with Bailey being gone. So,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree that they're missing that family dynamic. It's
mhm,
true.
mhm. So, all right. Well, we're very excited about the movie, and everybody is gonna. We're gonna do our recap next week. We're really, looking forward to all the intrigue and all the good luck charms and the the bonfire and all the fun stuff. So,
Well, Jamie and Mark really got put through their paces. You can in the triathlon. It was a lot of fun to watch.
yeah.
The day, keep in mind, I'll just let you keep this in mind when you watch the day that they shot the they had to ring that game where you ring the bell. You have a sledgehammer and you have to whack it down and try to ring the bell. Who gets the, I don't know what it's called. What
Uh-huh.
is it called? The hammer. They were in jackets, and it was 45 degrees. Well, I mean, so Canada, what
Yeah.
is that? What's 45 degrees centigrade in Fahrenheit? It was over. I was probably close to 100, if not
Yeah. That's
slightly
hot.
over.
That's
It
really
was
hot.
super hot. They were in jackets, and they had to throw those sledgehammers again and again and again. I was just, they really got put through their paces
Yeah.
doing that triathlon. So, bravo to them.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully the pumpkin carving, because we thought last year we were like, did Blairsville really not do as good at pumpkins? The their pumpkins were pretty good, and also the weird topping that Martha puts on that pumpkin pie. I've never seen a pumpkin pie topping like that. It was kind of like a sugar packet. It was it was very like what?
I know. It was, wasn't it cayenne pepper or something?
Yeah, it was
It was
weird.
like, it was weird. I never, I've never been able to find a pumpkin pie recipe quite like that.
I
I
guess
hope
that's
nobody tried it at home.
yeah. I mean, I guess that's why it's the winning the that only she can make, evidently. But yeah, like, what is going on?
I
But
know if Martha hadn't won that, she would have sulked the entire season.
well, yeah, I mean, there was another thing that we could have that had so much comic potential. We were kind of like, oh, stay in Blairsville a little longer because it could have been so funny. But
I actually deeply enjoyed being part of Blairsville. There was
yeah,
something weird about that. I did enjoy it. It's true.
it was.
I
It was
know,
so
but I
funny.
guess it's only 10 episodes really. There's a
Yeah.
movie and then 10 episodes, and I guess they wanted to resolve it. I did, however, like I said, I wanted to get back into my office.
Yeah.
I really felt like
That's-
I was without a home in the studio. I wanted my office back.
yeah. Yeah. How many when you're filming, do you get just one script at a time, or do you ever get more? Or do you have an
Well,
idea of kind of where things are going?
we shoot in blocks of 2 episodes.
Oh,
So the same
okay.
director will shoot. We will be shooting 2 episodes at a time, and so that when we go out on location, we're going to be shooting. We tend to be in the studio usually for the first part, and then it's over a 14-day shoot for 2 blocks, and so tend to stay in the studio and then maybe go out on the road for 4 or 5 days and then come back and end up in the studio, or vice versa. And but I mean, having said that, we sometimes start shooting the block with only one script, and we don't get the other script till a few days into the block. So we have a general idea, but this is a secret that I shouldn't tell, but we figured out that wardrobe gets the scripts long before we do. Because of course they have to go out and buy costumes and you do fittings. So whenever we're in a fitting or something, we always kind of sneak a look through their script to see what's going on, or if we have any questions, like what's happening in the next episode. They always seem to know before anybody else.
That is interesting. Of course, maybe sometimes you don't want to know because it might affect your kind of performance in a scene if you kind of know where it's all going.
Well, that's true. Although there was one really silly time when I thought I had read both scripts, but I had apparently read the same one twice. And so I was standing on set thinking, I don't remember this scene. This is weird. What's happening? And they all looked at me like, didn't you read the script? And I said, I thought I did. And then I realized that I had actually read the first script, because the first script came out in white, and then it got a lot of changes, and it went, whatever it is, it goes, what is it, white, blue, yellow, pink, or it goes through a series. Yeah. And so I ended up reading the white ones, and then I think I read what I thought was either the yellow or the orange of the next one. And I had just read basically the same script, but in a different, completely different color. And anyway, so it was
funny.
Stupid on my part, but it was very funny, because I just didn't want to admit to anybody that I didn't know what was going on. But inevitably you ask a question that tells everyone you don't know what's going on, do you?
Right. You're just like, just tell me what to say and I'll say it. I'm sorry.
That's right. I'm very careful about who I ask questions of. I have to go up quietly to the continuity person and go, so tell me, I don't understand. Who's David or something?
Yeah.
Go, oh. Yeah, so that was, but I didn't make that mistake twice. So, having said that, we started a new block. We started a new block today, but I'm not in today. I am in tomorrow, so I have to, after I get off the phone with you, I have to read 2 scripts tonight.
Oh, okay.
And figure out what's going on.
Well, that's great. We're really excited about the new season and coming up next year, and also for the movie. So we are so grateful that you took some time to talk with us, and I know all the goodies will love it.
It's so much fun. Thank you so much for asking me. It's lovely to talk about the show, and to such knowledgeable fans. My God, I mean, you guys know everything. It's even the stuff that I've forgotten, so it's great to talk to you. I feel like I have a better memory of the show now that I've talked to you.
Oh, well, thanks. You have to say hi to everybody there, and let them know that we, especially about Vincent, let them know.
Oh, I'll try to do it without, not within Scott and says Adams, not within his hearing distance.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Well, I hope you have a great holiday season, and we hopefully will be able to connect again sometime next year. And I know you don't have the social media, so I won't ask you that. But yeah, let us know if you're listening. Let us know your thoughts of all the things we've talked about. We'd love to hear on our Twitter or in the comments section. We'd love to hear that. So thanks again, Catherine. You're always a joy to talk to.
Will do. Okay. Well, we'll do. And thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to talk to you as well, Rachel.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
I'd like to thank Catherine for coming on the podcast. It was so much fun to talk with her. Make sure you're following the podcast, all of our social media at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast. And if you're listening on iTunes, if you could give us your ratings and reviews, really appreciate that. And if you're listening on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We sure appreciate that. You can follow me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media on iTunes and YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Make sure to take a look at that. You'll really enjoy that content. And we have our merch stores having a sale this week. So at tpublic/Hallmarkies, we'll have a link in the description for that as well. We also have our Patron Group, which will be talking all things Good Witch, as well as the rest of the movies that air for the rest of the year. So we have giveaways and other fun perks for being a patron, and all the information will be in the description section. So make sure to take a look at that. So thanks again, everybody, and thanks to Catherine, and we'll talk to you all later. Bye. This podcast was brought to you by Hallmarkies for Hallmarkies. For more information about how you can leave your mark on Hallmarkies, visit hallmarkiespodcast.com, link in the description.